operational excellence. Quick note there that there is a poll we want you all to participate in. You'll see it right on the screen. We'll share the results in a little bit. Today we have two presentations actually. The first will be provided by our event sponsor, Kivec. The second presentation will be presented by Stan Hewlin. I'm Jake Meister, Managing Editor for the Cleaning Market of Trade Press Media Group. Before we get started with today's event, I'd like to cover a few housekeeping details. We do encourage audience questions throughout the webcast. To submit those questions, please navigate to the Q&A Ask Questions module at the bottom of the screen and type in your questions at any time. You can download a PDF copy of today's presentation slides by navigating to the related content module on your screen. You can also find more information provided by our sponsor in that same related content module. To successfully earn 0.1 CEUs, you must watch 45 minutes or more of the webcast. You can download your certificate at the completion of the webcast in the Earn Certification module. And the webcast will also be archived at cleanlink.com/webcast. So let's move into our first presentation, Workloading for Productivity, Accelerating Clean with the Kivec System. Our presentation is by Mike Perezzo. I hope I got the pronunciation correct there. Chief Growth Officer for Kivec. Mike draws on 21 years of industry experience helping organizations implement common sense engineered solutions designed to deliver maximum hygienic results. In his role as CGO, Mike focuses on change management, overseeing a variety of implementations from extremely complex enterprise-wide rollouts to single-site applications. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mike.
Great, appreciate that. We had a quick poll, and I think it's important because the audience that's here, what are they thinking about on this topic? These biggest challenges is, hey, labor is a shortage issue and there's high turnover. That scored almost the highest at 25%. Inconsistent cleaning results. We have variability in our program, came in at, it looks like 28.6, which is our leader. Meeting our demands with our budget came in at 17.9. Lack of tools and support productivity scored lowest at 7.1. And then in that mid-20s is we don't currently even use workloading software. So that just gives you a snapshot of your peers that are here. Now we have a short period of time, so we're gonna move a little bit of fast. We're gonna move pretty fast here. Workloading is really important when you have a labor shortage. And so how do you accelerate that time? These are some obvious things, but a couple topics that I want you to think about is clearly the survey was on mark to what I'm talking about. Labor is the largest cost center in cleaning operations, and we don't have enough of it. And there's a shortage, and there's turnover that impacts that. But the client and the general public is wanting more. They want more cleanliness. They want more safety. They want to feel better inside of the indoor environment. And there's incredible competition fighting for that kind of discretionary spend or the visiting of that environment. And so cleaning has never been more important. And so to reach that standard of what the public is asking, operational excellence is in high demand. And you have to think about shifting your approach. If you're not happy with the result you're generating, you must be thinking about making a change to the system. You can't keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. We're of the belief that the kind of 1980s task by task workloading is outdated and it's inefficient. Because you have a tight budget and you have a labor shortage, you've got to meet the demand of the best and most important areas of building and be able to measure that you're hitting on those outcomes. So how do we get the most important things into that scope of work so that our labor is dialed to generate that result? What we know as a manufacturer, we got to help you do that efficiently. We got to increase your speed, and we got to drive a better outcome. Going fast just for the sake of going fast is not that great, okay? We want to go fast, safe, and drive an outcome. Okay, and so we look to the benchmarking of our industry, the ISSA 612 cleaning times. It's a great resource for you as you're trying to set up your workflow. It is a third party evaluating the speed and the efficiency of all these wonderful tools that we have, from antiquated systems all the way up to maybe full autonomous. There are labor rates, there are productivity rates that begin to size up a building to understand how long is it going to take. And when you look at antiquated tools like mopping, you see there's not a lot of productivity there in a manual restroom cleaning process. I can't get a ton of work done per hour. And if I'm stuck mopping, I'm in a low productivity mode. And today you're gonna see how we increase that productivity. What Kaivac focuses on is dramatically outperforming these basic benchmarks. We want to give you the efficiency, the productivity, but we're going to deliver on the results. And this isn't a theoretical claim. You're going to a governing body who's saying, hey, it's just not a fancy sales guy talking about what his machine does. These have been tested in real world theory. Okay, so we're going to talk about that benchmark. The anchor product for us in particular is a place that we think the public should plant that flag of hygiene: public restroom cleaning. And what you're going to watch today, not just through slides, but through an interactive, how can I reduce my cleaning time by 1/3? How do I put the worker in a great position? How do I remove the maximum amount of soils? How do I increase my efficiency, and maybe do that in a couple different sizes and shapes? So no one wants to watch a PowerPoint, they want to see it in action. So let's change our camera angle here into our studio. So Austin's going to come with me, and I'm just quickly paint that picture of what's wrong with traditional cleaning. Well, I'm going to have fun with you guys. It's a little ketchup mixture. This is just so the camera helps you. If there is contamination on fixtures, I don't know how many of you would be excited to clean traditionally, down on your hands and knees, close to contamination, spreading and wiping contamination, hovering over a bowl to get detailed cleaning. This is a bad process. It's not going to generate the highest level of hygiene. It doesn't put the worker in a great place. And then most of our customers that we see out there finish their cleaning process of floors with a mop. So I have a string on a stick spreading disgusting water, and we don't really have to be too graphic about the soils that are here, but they're real. Why in the world would I want to spread those around with a mop? We need to remove those odors, those germs, and those bacteria. Well, the way you do that is to maybe make restroom cleaning a little bit fun, a little bit empowering. And so you're going to watch how I get efficiency through a machine that stores my fresh water, recovers contamination, allows me to use powerful vacuums, but an empowerment piece where I don't have to touch anything is the key to us changing the public restroom experience. What if we had a way for the worker to stand up and deliver that chemistry to break those soils down with never having to be close to the fixture, to be able to put fresh ingredients out onto the floor, and maybe when necessary, agitate and break down those odors and germs, scrub it out, remove those harmful residues and odors, remove that 5 o'clock shadow. But as the worker, look at me, I'm in an upright position. I'm not crawling around touching or close to contamination. And then for me, it's the fun factor. What if I want to go in and rinse? Now, wherever I have contamination, I can push that unwanted matter to the ground. I can do a detail level of cleaning. Even when I have tons of contamination, I can agitate, get back behind the nuts and bolts, send the bad stuff to the ground. And again, I personally didn't have to touch or interact. I'm pushing the bad stuff down to the ground. And then you start talking about, well, how do you make these claims of being so much more effective at removal? Well, it's not just a Kaivac thing, it's a science thing, high flow fluid extraction. And so I'm gonna false contaminate this floor again to just help you see it. Hopefully you guys can see a little bit of that pink residue. It's just a little ketchup water. But watch as my vacuum cuts through that liquid. So everything we push down now comes out. And I'm completely changing the approach. to say what gets deposited in is not going to get spread around. It's actively going to get recovered through a vacuum system. We're not going to allow fixtures to accumulate soils. We're going to blast the bad stuff down and pick it up. The net of all of this is cleaner, healthier, safer facilities. I can clean at a faster rate. Once I master this new methodology, I'm in a position to clean these fixtures in 1/3 the time, but I get the quality benefit of 60% cleaner in everything I do. So as we go kind of to this next slide, we're going to talk about a whole different piece of equipment because we have limited time here. That's a restroom program where hygiene and quality is of the utmost importance. But what if we have floor care to do? In that previous slide, mopping is slow and ineffective, and it leaves the floor wet. What we want to do is show you a multi-purpose piece of equipment that automates that process. Now we're up in 20,000 square feet per hour, but we're making it easy for the worker. So we're going to grab Austin again. So you're seeing a little second piece of equipment. Same type of thing. We've got trolley, we got recovery. Vacuum's going to be a part of everything we do. But now we have some tools so that we can clean a lot of different services by learning one piece of equipment or purchasing one piece of equipment. So for me, now out on entryways, smooth floors, I can go to my hard floor tab, and I'm going to empower the worker to deliver fresh ingredients to my microfiber. We're going to dust, mop, and wet clean all in one step, but I'm going to be vacuuming. So I'll have a little fun with you guys here. Look at my experience as the worker again. I'm going to open a valve, and now I am highly automating this cleaning process. I can go as fast or as slow as I want. I can push this machine with one finger. Unlike a mop that's very heavy and laborious, this is easy. Now, you guys can't see everything, but we're going to show you again on the camera on this white. As I pull it back, that floor is actually very wet. Let's bring a little food coloring to the table here, just so the camera, that is a very wet, contaminated surface. And in a singular pass, look what we're doing here. This is increased productivity. This is increased quality. This is increased safety because we brought a different process. If I would have spread that around with the mop, I would have been pushing it out on this floor. I would have been leaving moisture and soils behind. We are against that. We're about capturing those soils in our vacuum systems. So a lot of people look at it and go, well, where's the bad stuff going? It's going in this yellow tank. So at the end of the shift, I can drop this down the toilet. I can drop this down my slop sink, and I actually get the odor and the contamination out of the building. And we got a short period of time here, but we want to show off this technology because sometimes you need to have a piece of equipment that can do multiple things. So I'm on a hard surface, but I'm going to move to carpet. So instead of wet cleaning, I want to go to dry cleaning. Now I'm out on a carpeted surface. Let's go ahead and put down some very fine soil. So that sugar will come out here, put some big contamination out. And now I'm able to, in a single pass, use these powerful vacuums. Forward, backwards, my machine doesn't care. It can pick that stuff up instantly. And then as the worker, I don't want to go back and get another tool. What if I have a bigger spill that needs a different tool? Well, I just change it out. I don't go back to the closet. I don't buy a whole nother machine. I begin to make my machine work for the situation. And so now I almost have like a protein backpack that's on board. Look at how I can cut through that and leave that clean, safe, and dry, all the way to going all the way above my head, maybe to a crevice or dusting mechanism. I got so many fun tools here, I'm not even sure what to show you guys. What if I needed to then go up and grab cobwebs or clean ledges? The point is, I'm making it productive because I'm making it simple for the worker. The science is guiding us on the removal by saying, every time you push this vacuum, you are getting better because you are removing soil each and every time. So for us, we have some machines that are very focused, like in the restroom, shower, locker room with the no-touch cleaning. But I might want to run a multi-purpose piece of equipment that allows me to do entryways, terrazzo, gymnasium floors, where I can quickly get it wet, but as I pass over it, it's dry, leaving no residue, no soils behind. That's a winning formula. And when you start to look at our productivity rates with that unit wide open, I'm 30,000 square feet. Well, the mopping was 4,000. That's a massive lift, but I made it easy for the worker. Even if my building was a little tight, I'm still gonna be at about 15,000 square feet of cleanable time per hour. That's a massive increase, and the quality speaks for itself. So we wanted to take you guys on this journey, and if you like what you saw, in just a few months at the ISSA, we're gonna be unveiling a new machine and a new category called the Total Multi-Purpose. It's a 10-gallon, 500 PSI, where it combines some of the things that you saw in Demo 1 and some of the things you saw in Demo 2 into one singular unit. So look at your current processes, see where there's areas for improvement. There's so many great pieces of technology out there. Pick the one that is right for you to get the most work done in the least amount of time with the labor you have available. So we're almost out of time here. Quickly looking at that again, 1/3 time, better productivity. I've got to be comfortable. If I want great results, I need my work team to be comfortable. So a practical framework. This is a PDF that you guys have available to you. Look at your current state. Identify those areas of the highest impact and prioritize those. Look for how you leverage some performance equipment and then reallocate that labor, that savings, to get more work done in the same amount of time. If I can speed up one process, that gives me more time to get more work done. That's going to be good for the client. Training, reconditioning everybody on new systems, and then monitor kind of the progress. Let's chart what we're doing. We want to work smarter, healthier, faster. So I'm going to pass it back over to you because I know we're on a tight time frame, but I love the fact to show people some new ideas. Hopefully this helps everyone get just a little bit more productive or know something that's out there.
Thanks very much, Mike, for all that great information. As Mike mentioned, feel free to type in your questions for the team over there, and if you have any, and they will respond back as they can. Now we'll move to our next presentation. This is part 3 of 3 for our series, being presented by Stan Hewlin. We appreciated Stan being here with us today. Stan is the president and CEO of Future Facility Technology, Inc., a member of the cleaning industry since 1975. He's has over 4 decades of cleaning industry related services, training, sales, marketing, and management experience. As a national and international consultant, Stan has conducted cleaning and hard floor maintenance seminars throughout the United States, as well as the Netherlands, France, Belgium, Egypt, and Japan. Most recently, Stan acted as the consultant for government bodies to evaluate and develop comprehensive cleaning programs, as well as work with the cleaning companies that service them. And with that, I'll turn it over to Stan.
Hello, my name's Stan, as you already know, and what I'm going to talk to you today about is the crucial role of productivity in the cleaning industry. We're going to talk a little bit about practical strategies for time management. So the learning objectives we're going to pass on to you guys today are give you a little bit of a smarter workloading techniques to replace labor costs, leveraging high performance cleaning systems, scaling operations efficiently without adding headcount, optimizing time and resources to eliminate bottlenecks, and building a growth-focused, sustainable cleaning system. So those are the topics we're kind of going to cover here. But I'm going to start with the beginning, and what we all know is that we have a collaborative contractual relationship for the building. We have that relationship with the property owner or the manager of the facility. And as the building service provider, we have some responsibilities as well. On this screen, you could see that both parties have a responsibility for protecting the building. The manager of the cleaning contract is the property manager. They're financially responsible for the contractual remuneration. They monitor the building service, provides deliverables, and they're accountable for maintaining the cleaning contract. On the building service provider side, we're responsible for protecting the building. We're recipients of the cleaning contract. We're contractually responsible for delivering that service. We manage all the cleaning program as well as the subcontracted programs that may be about it as well. And we're accountable for retaining the cleaning customer. The one thing you don't see in this particular image is we're talking about the property manager and the building service provider. What's missing is the building. We are collaborating our contractual efforts to maintain a clean, safe, and habitable environment. So when we sign the contractual agreement, the property manager is the one who develops the scope of work, what they expect to be done, and they manage the contract. On the other side of the fence, we provide a scope of services from the building service contractor side that tells you or tells the customer what services we're going to perform, and we schedule those services so that the customer knows when we're going to perform them. Then we implement the cleaning program. So implementing the cleaning program is somewhat easy. We just start the program. But when we start thinking about it, what is that program? Smarter workloading techniques to reduce labor costs. That's what we're looking for. We want to understand how the building information impacts the calculations that we put together to put on our programs. So we start with information gathering. What's the size of the building? What type of structure is the building? What is the configuration? When you look at a building, it's certainly just a box that's been compartmentalized, and each of those compartments have a name. Maybe it's a lobby, maybe it's a restroom. It doesn't matter. It's the configuration of the building. Sometimes the building can be very difficult. Is it an owned or leased building? Is it a multi-tenant building or a sole occupant? What type of activities go on in that building? What are in the building? What are the contents in the building? And what's the type of equipment that we're surrounded by? Because not all buildings are the same. When we look at a building, when we're trying to figure out productivity rates, what we're talking about is occupying space and time. The building has a fixed value. That fixed value is the square footage of the building and all of its internal compartments. The variable could be compartmentalization. That's going to change in each and every building. Each building is going to be compartmentalized in a different way. When we're trying to estimate labor hours, we look at the variable. The variable are the productivity rates for each and every task that you do. Something has to happen, and that has to be accounted for. And we're talking about the basic cleaning of the surfaces. We're talking about hard floors and soft floor maintenance, and we're also talking about the windows. So those labor costs for each of those individuals, we were talking about shortage of labor. When you have labor costs, they're not going to be one flat labor rate across the field. You're going to pay different labor costs for different types of things that are being done. And that productivity rate is the primary variable. So when we look at evaluating performance versus productivity, we look at the primary numeric value for calculating. You want to increase the volume of the output. You want to increase productivity, which is square foot per hour. Multiple sites and locations, you might want to have variables on, are they vehicular or building routes? What are you going to do there? How long does it take for you to drive between different buildings, and what are the cleaning provision procurement going to cost? Building square foot per hour could be zones, areas, offices, rooms, hard floor maintenance, carpet maintenance, the number of items for unit of time, how many furnitures when you're looking at cleaning, how congested is that area, how much furniture is in there, how much shelving, how much walkable square footage, and all of that adds up. It adds up, and it all goes into developing your time factors. So when we look at program productivity, we look at the macro productivity. How long does it take to clean a bunch of buildings? Like on the large scale, government bodies usually have multiple businesses or multiple buildings that do multiple things. A campus of a college or a campus of anything is going to require cleaning multiple buildings. You might be cleaning just one building. And when you divide that building up, you might be cleaning building zones and or areas. So when you're thinking about that, that's the very macro productivity level. When you get to the meso, which means the middle productivity level, you're talking about periodic cleaning, maybe floor maintenance, maybe carpet cleaning and window cleaning. Those are things that don't happen every day, but they happen occasionally, periodically. And when we look at the micro level, we're looking at how long does it take to trash and recycle or dust the furnishings or clean the fixtures. So we do a lot when we talk about evaluating the performance of productivity. There's a lot to be unpacked there. So when we think about it, fixed costs are costs that don't change, and variable costs are costs that do change, and the total cost are all costs incurred for all the services. So you have to kind of think about what you're actually looking at in terms of financial remuneration. So when we look at productivity rates to hours, productivity rates, total janitorial, how long is it going to do that? Total hard floor maintenance, how long is it going to do that? Carpets and windows. And then once you get those hours, then you can then multiply it by the loaded wage rates that you have. So a lot of times we have multiple wage rates within a business. And within that business, you earn your way to a greater wage rate. But when we're doing our calculations, we want to do our calculations based on the maximum wage rate to be sure that we're the maximum wage rate for that particular event to make sure that we're going to do it. Then the second thing we need to know is what's the frequency we're going to do. So if we look at productivity as defined by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, it's really productivity equals the output over the input. You know, the output of what you're doing divided by the input of what goes into it will give you your productivity rate. To make that a little bit more simpler to understand, we determine the actual productivity rate. So if we have a building that is 2,500 square feet and we estimate that it's going, and these are fictitious hours, guys, I'm just throwing them out there, but we say we do that building in 20 hours, that means our productivity rate is 1,250 square foot. So there's one way that we could increase our productivity rate, and that's just by increasing the amount of square footage that you can clean in that 20 hours. So highlighted in yellow, we increase that productivity to 30,000 square foot in 20 hours. That increases our productivity rate to 1,500 square feet per hour, which is 250 square feet per hour more than what we were doing at 2,500. So what we do is we go ahead and we change this. What we operate in the cleaning business on is our productivity rate. So if we have that building at 2,500 square foot an hour, and you divide that by 1,250 square foot, you're going to get 20 hours. So what we need to do in this case is increase our productivity rate to 1,500 square foot an hour, which is going to reduce the amount of time that it takes that same 2,500 square foot per hour to 1,600 or 16 hours and 67 or 16.67 hours. So that's just the two different ways that we look at productivity rates and how we use them. In the cleaning industry, we usually start with the productivity rate, and we divide the building or the square footage by the productivity rate, which is the traditional way we do that in the cleaning industry. So When we do that, it's not just a matter of manipulating numbers. Anybody can shift the numbers. We could go faster, and we could be very efficient by going faster, but the whole goal of cleaning is to be effective. You want to produce the outcome that the customer is expecting, the expectation of end results, but we want to be efficient at it. We want to reduce our time so that we can make a little bit of money. When we think about it, best practice is the optimization of efficiency and efficiency and effectiveness together. So one of the ways that we do this is by how do we clean the building? What method of cleaning are we using? Zone cleaning is one individual packs up their cart and they do the whole thing. They do every aspect of every part of the work. And this works well for just singular buildings or small buildings, or maybe you're doing route work. So zone cleaning might be the typical cleaning that we use, but it may not be the most efficient way to clean a different type of building. So when we go into team cleaning is our cleaning technician specialists. You have one person who's really good maybe at cleaning restrooms, and one person who's really good at vacuuming, and somebody else is pretty good at high dusting, and somebody's really fast at dumping trash. So when you work as a team, you highlight the effectiveness and efficiency of an individual in an individual task, and you have them to do that task, and you systematically together clean all of the building or all of the areas. This is called team cleaning, and it works quite well on the daily thing. It may also be called specialty cleaning, but when I speak about specialty cleaning, I'm talking about those periodic and restorative jobs that usually cleaning technicians don't do. So when we break up our cleaning program, we break it into different levels. One is the initial baseline cleaning, which when you take over a new building, oftentimes it requires a heavy, intensive cleaning just to get it to the baseline so that you can start your cleaning tasks and achieve the results that you have laid out. Then we have daily routine cleaning, which could be daily or routine. And then we have periodic or interim cleaning, which is something that we do in between the minimum and the maximum. And finally, we have the restorative cleaning, is when we have to put something back to a like new condition. We usually go to the restorative cleaning. This may not be so important for general cleaning, but when we get into hard floor maintenance, carpet cleaning, and window cleaning, it becomes entirely important that those are special guys that know what they're doing. Then we get into gang cleaning. There's a lot of places that we might get into gang cleaning, which is you just send in a trove of people and they just all go to work and they all get it done because we have a tight time frame and we got to get that place cleaned in a hurry, and there's just no way one person is going to do that all. So we usually see this in post-construction cleaning or sports events or activity centers or even special events like conventions and shows, and even on airplanes. This could be gang cleaning. This is a type of cleaning that's very effective for getting in, getting out relatively quickly. And then we have cooperative cleaning. This is kind of a specialty thing where your cleaning responsibilities are shared. And those responsibilities might be with another cleaning company. Maybe you don't have the ability to do hard floor maintenance or window cleaning or carpet cleaning, so you're going to sub those out to somebody else. That's a cooperative cleaning program. Internally, you might have a cooperative cleaning program with the occupant of the building, and that might be within other departments like the day porters or maybe day cleaners or primary cleaning services and other maintenance departments. You're going to share some of that cleaning responsibility with somebody else. And when we do that, when we start having cooperative cleaning, it's highly important to have a clear delineation of whose responsibilities are what, and when are those responsibilities going to be taken care of. So that's kind of just a high view of what we're challenged with when we put together a program. So when we start activating that program, we start looking at things that might improve our productivity, because if we can improve our productivity, we might make a little bit more money, or we certainly won't go broke. If you reduce your productivity, oftentimes you reach into your own pocket to pay somebody else to clean their building. It's not a pleasant thing, but we've all missed bin jobs before. And so it's kind of a trap. So when we're thinking about high performance cleaning systems, what are we thinking about? Well, at one point in time, everything that we use today was science fiction. It was a high performance cleaning system. So anchoring on, in this slide, I'm anchoring on vacuuming. So you could vacuum an entire facility with a lobby sweeper. It wouldn't be very efficient, and it wouldn't be very effective. It probably wouldn't really get great results. But if you're just picking up scraps of paper during the day that are highly visible, then it's a perfect tool. We graduated from the carpet sweeper to an upright vacuum cleaner, and now we know that the bags and the dust that gets put in the air is a little bit different. We then transferred to the backpack vacuum, which was much more efficient because you carried the backpack on your vac. You didn't have to just push it with your arm. And finally, in certain arenas, we have riding vacuum cleaners that produce very, very good results and less fatiguing to the employee. So the point is that technology is always there. It's always improving, and it's up to you to decide which technology is going to work best for you in that specific environment or event. So we do have a lot of systems out there that increase productivity. The microfiber system, when it first came on, we were talking about the rag on a stick, the string mop. Well, that string mop kind of took the back seat. There's still a lot of people that use string mops, but the microfiber mopping systems are much more efficient and effective, and they get the floors clean if they're used correctly. Backpack disinfection occurred with COVID. COVID came in, and we decided that it might be easier to use a spray-on system than to wipe everything down by hand with a microfiber cloth and disinfect it. Other improvements that have come along that have helped the way are, especially in floor maintenance, are backpack floor finish applicators. The picture on the lower left shows a person applying finish without having to go back and forth to the bucket. Every trip to the bucket costs time. So backpack vacuums became very, very popular, and we're moving in that direction now. And in the bigger, wide open areas, you might have a lock behind wide area applicators. And these wide area applicators can be used, and as well as the backpack vacuums, can also be used for floor finish and disinfection. So when we're looking about the wide area applicators, we're talking about usually cleaning or stripping solutions to apply, or floor finish application. Each one of these minor iterations in the technology has increased our ability to perform at a faster productivity rate. The thing is you have to be trained. You can give an unskilled, untrained technician the best equipment in the world, but if they don't know how to use it, how effective are they going to be? Conversely, you could give a well-trained and well-experienced technician the worst equipment, tools, and materials on the shelf, and they will find a way to make it work. So when you introduce new equipment, you need to understand that requires training for that new piece of equipment. Otherwise, they're just going to look at it. So leveraging high-performance cleaning systems, you really got a good show of the no-touch cleaning system. It has a range of accessories for cleaning those restrooms. They can be high flow or low flow, with or without vacuum recovery. They're commonly used in food service areas, restrooms, showers, swimming pool areas, highway rest stops, and that kind of thing. But as our previous demonstrator showed us, this is advancing at a quicker rate, and this type of technology is becoming more and more useful and more popular in the field. So if you can't afford, because you've got a small business or you don't have the place for it, you need to at least be aware of what's going to help you increase your productivity rates, which is going to reduce your labor costs. We look at battery operated equipment. It saves time. There's no cords. When you're out in wide open area boxes, you might have a small area. And one of the things about automatic scrubbing machines is that they have been advancing steadily over the last 50 years and have gotten very small, very compact, and very useful. So evaluate what you need. What is the size of the area you're doing? What are you going to do? This replaces mopping techniques a lot of times, that, as was stated by our aforementioned guest, that you spend a lot of time when you're mopping. If you can apply the cleaning solution, agitate the cleaning solution, and extract it all in one motion, you're certainly going to save yourself some time. So understand that battery operated equipment today is much more functional than the big boxes that we used to use in yesteryear. Another thing that's coming in that is over the last 10 years has been very exciting, and it's getting better and better all the time. We have robotics and we have cobotics. Robots were the original intent, and they operated independently by programming the area or the space into the machine, and the machine would do the space. However, it didn't take too well to human beings, which is where cobotics comes in, because cobotics is collaborative with robotics. It works alongside humans in the shared space that they're in. They're built with sensors to prevent harm to humans, and they support safety and efficiency. So cobotics is fast becoming a way that we can clean a building without even having to be around that, or if you are around that, to avoid potential safety and danger hazards. One of the areas that often gets overlooked because people don't really want to talk about propane that much is in the big box store environment, where you've got no plugins or very few plugins. Battery operated equipment does quite well, but if you really want to be exceptionally good in the big box store environment, you have to use propane. It's vital equipment for those big box stores. The primary piece of equipment, of course, is the burnishing machine for popping the gloss on the floor, but there are other machines, like an edging machine. The picture on the top right is an edging machine. How many hours do we spend scraping the floor finish off of the corners, edges, and baseboards? Here's an edging machine that's propane driven that can do that quite efficiently and effectively. But the most powerful propane equipment that I've ever experienced and used are the propane stripping machines. You've got the dual head propane stripping machine and the triple head propane stripping machine. They both cover about 33 square inches, but you have, 33 inches, but you have a 200-pound down pressure on a motor that does not stop, and it does not, like battery powered equipment, ultimately loses its charge and kind of continually slows down. An internal combustion machine does not. So if you want to get into the big box stores, you need to look at the efficiency and effectiveness of those machines. When we get into high dusting, I remember last year at ISSA, we're looking at in excess lightweight poles in excess of 30 plus feet to dust down counters or ledges in high areas. And now the biggest thing is with high dusting, you're best suited on the ground. You don't want to be up on a ladder. The amount of time that it takes to climb up and down the ladder and move it and shift it is enormous. So we're trying to figure out ways to do it from the ground. And one of the newest inventions coming out are these high altitude drone cleaning services that you literally fly the machine up to the vent and use bursts of air to blow the dust off of the beams in the vents. So again, if you're running into that situation where you need to solve problems about how to get up there and do it, there are ways. There is technology out there today that you can access and make it happen. So I want to tell you that equipment is the end all and fix all of everything, but it's really about utilizing the correct equipment in the right place that is going to achieve the results that you need for that particular place. So next thing we want to talk about is scaling the operations efficiently without adding headcount. That's kind of hard to do, and especially if you don't have the headcount you need to begin with. So we want to scale those operations. One of those ways, again, is automation for repetitive tasks. Here's another cobotic robot that could help us out in that with vacuuming and mopping and machine scrubbing. You might want to implement automation tools like AI tools for repetitive activities that you do, or data entry, or emails, or reports and distribution. AI is out there. We use it every day. We're inundated with it, so we need to embrace it. We need to watch what we're doing when we embrace it, because it's not always right, but it is a huge success for us. And the benefit is that with any of these systems is that you free up your team to focus on the more important, complex, strategic activities and reduce those errors. So when we look at automation and repetitive tasks, we have different tools that we can draw on to achieve those objectives. One of the things that we overlook is that we have a bunch of different employees in our staff, and they do things differently. What we want to do to make a more productive environment is to standardize and streamline those processes. Evaluate and define the processes that you want to streamline. If you have a consistent definitions of terms and terminology, then you're not saying, I want you to do something. What you say will be interpreted as what you mean. You need to have written scopes of services that tell your team not only what that service is, but the step-by-step processes to achieve those services. We want to have performance standards. And what I mean by performance standards is when I'm done with this job, this is what the expectation of end results will be. So this performance standards, when we talk about it, we have our terms and terminology, which results in our scope of services and how we do it. And then our performance standards are the expectation of end results. What are you going to get after you're done with that? And how long does it last? We want to optimize our workflow. We do workflow, and we do that by looking at all our processes. A process that would be cleaning a building, the procedures within cleaning that building might clean the restroom, clean the lobby, clean the hallway. So those are procedures. And when we streamline those procedures, we reduce the inconsistencies and inefficiencies. Looking at this example of cleaning a room, you go in, you take a left, and you start cleaning around the room, and you end up going out the door and into the next door. It's efficient. If everybody's trained the same way, they're going to perform that service in the same way. And the benefit is you now have a predictable and consistent outcome. It allows the team to produce at a higher volume of work efficiency. So when you teach your team the efficiencies of processes and procedures, they all do it the same way. So you can know with certainty what the expectation of end results is going to be. We want to leverage technology and artificial intelligence. Again, I come back to these two things. Before the pandemic, we didn't fog anything. Now it's kind of one of those things that's in the arsenal of things to do. We want to enhance our technology for digital communication. Our phones or our intelligent devices that we carry with us can do a lot of things other than just talk on the phone or text messages. There's inspection software out there that can drive better results. There's data-driven dashboards where you can actually look at things on your phone and what your equipment is doing without even be there. And if you keep track of things with Gantt charts and organization charts and flow charts, you visualize what you're trying to teach your folks to do. Again, artificial intelligence is good for augmentation. I employ your AI tools, AI-powered assistants, enhance the productivity and the output of everything that we do. If you're researching something, you are researching using artificial intelligence nowadays. It's not like you had to go to the library, look up the books that you got to look up, and then go find the books and then read the books. Now it's all at your fingertips. Utilize that power. That power can make you a stronger person. You want to invest in new systems. Granted, when new systems come along, people look at them and they go, no, I can't do that. I've only done this. I've done this for 20 years. I can't change the way I am. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Yes, you can. And when that old dog learns new tricks, they perform better as well. So the benefit here is technology can transform your operations. You don't have to be stuck in doing it the old-fashioned way simply because that's all you can afford or that's all you can do. Look for those new technologies, look for that new technology that comes out and implement it somewhere in your program, and through use and time, you will become much more proficient at it and you will realize the benefit. Empower your existing team. One of the things that's really important to understand is your team is your team. And you need to foster collaboration because no one person does it all. You want to create functional teams, teams that can operate together, teams that get along, teams that can together as a team outproduce any three men alone. So encourage interdepartmental training. We like to cross-train a lot. And when you cross-train somebody, you always have, it's not like everybody shows to work every day. We have a lot of problems with personnel in the cleaning industry. And so we have to be prepared for somebody else stepping in to fill in those shoes when it needs to happen. So cross-training individuals helps on training in buildings, but it also helps to share knowledge and resources. We want to enable role-based participation. You know, one of the things that I run into a lot as a consultant is you have different factions of a team. You have the sales team, you have the marketing team, you have the managing team, and you have the operational team. And what happens is that each of those teams knows a little something about something. But you need to make sure that maybe that sales guy should go out in the field every now and then and actually do a route or two so that they understand what they are asking their operational technicians to do. Conversely, you might want to have a technician shadow a supervisor or a manager to just see how tough their job really is. The point is that an intercommingled team will always be a great team because you'll have support on what you're doing and you'll have backup on what you're doing. Benefits: well-trained and collaborative team, leverage resources more effectively, and you increase innovation and problem solving. So empower your existing team. If you give them a little bit of power and you train them to do something else, they feel better because they're smarter, they're more knowledgeable, they have advanced a little bit. So when we talk about optimizing time and resources, we have bottlenecks. In every industry, you have bottlenecks. And so we have to figure out what those bottlenecks are and how to overcome them. When we run into bottlenecks in business processes, we work or request volume when work or request volume exceeds our capacity to do it. If somebody misses a night, if they're out of service that night, and you're strategically placed it that you need those hours for that thing, then that's going to cause a constriction in the process. The flow of work becomes delayed. Sometimes it even breaks down altogether, and you have to go to the customer and say, gee, I'm sorry we missed your building last night. We just didn't have the manpower to get it done. How good of an excuse is that? Prepare for that, be planning for that, and actually activate it when the time is necessary. When you keep the workflow constrained, it's essentially useless. A constrained workflow not only constrains the physical activity of doing that process, it constrains the mental activity of stress that goes along with being behind or not being fast enough or having to go to another job. Employees become overloaded. They're just, I can't do it all. I can't think of it all. And if you've got multiple bottlenecks, you got 2 people out or you got 5 people out, then it becomes even more of an issue. Identify that bottleneck. Map your workflows, visualize scope of services, evaluate the task and frequencies, identify areas of inefficiency. Do those things, map those workflows, monitor the data, establish baseline cleaning, perform regular inspections, determine areas of difficulty that need to, that's a bottleneck. If it's an area of difficulty, it's a bottleneck that needs to be solved. Gather the input, engage with the frontline workers. These are the guys that run into that. A guy's not going to say, I don't have enough time to do that if he doesn't have enough time to do that. So get their input on what they experience and what you might even ask them what their solution might be for that experience. But gather input so that you can solve the problem. Sometimes as managers or supervisors or owners, we're too engaged at the high level stuff to think about what's going on in the trenches. Use monitoring tools. This is important. Implement consistent observation. Track the performance and distinct bottlenecks early. If you identify them early, your chances for fixing it and moving on to better production results is even better. So increase capacity at the bottleneck. Add resources if you can. Consider strategic hiring. Expand AI for the bottleneck stage. Automate your processes. Invest in the tools and technologies that you need to improve. Automate the repetitive tasks and increase the speed and reduce the errors. So if you do that, you'll improve quality. You ensure that the technicians are trained and that they can handle the job. Optimize the existing processes. Find ways to improve that efficiency. If you're doing something right, there's always a way to improve it. We're always adapting and shifting in our life. So we've identified those bottlenecks. We've kind of overcome those bottlenecks. And now we're going to talk about building a growth-focused and sustainable cleaning strategy. So when we talk about defining clear goals and objectives, set measurable goals. Establish those specifics that go into that. Specific, measurable, achieved, relevant, and time-based. The SMART system. If you start doing that, you'll understand what's going on and you'll be able to hit your long-term objectives. Understanding your marketing position. Assess your current standing in the industry. Know where you need to have improvement and growth. Identify your target audience. Maybe you don't want to do box stores. Maybe you want to just do small to medium-sized commercial buildings. Identify who you want to service and then define your value. What sets you apart from the rest of the pack? What makes you a little bit different? What's going to give you the edge over the competition? Do you do it better? Do you do it smarter? Do you engage communications more effectively? All of those things need to be set into place to understand that you have clear goals and objectives. Focus on that customer retention and loyalty. If you have customers, you've got some good customers. They're cultivate loyalty. A loyal customer, I have customers that follow me from business to business. And when they change their job, they call me up and they say, Stan, I need you to come out and help me figure this out. Build your committee or your community. Build your community and expand your horizons. Get to know different people that are in the same arena as you are. They have different ideas. They may have a different approach. They may do something slightly different than you do. You might need to find people that do things that you don't do. Leverage your data and technology. That's a huge thing. Data-driven decisions. Use the data. Science is science. When you use numbers and data, you are going to have a better outcome because you're evaluating the data and where you fit within that data. And then again, invest in technology. Don't be fearful of technology. Technology is always new, and there's always new technology. So you want to embrace that because you never know when it's going to come to the rescue and help you out. Then you need to drive innovation and adaptability. Invest in innovation. I can't say this enough. When I first got into the building, we used wax. We don't use wax. We haven't used wax in a number of years. We use steel wool and paste wax. You don't even see that stuff anymore. We used to use towels. Now we use microfiber. We used to use mops. Now we have microfiber systems. So drive that innovation and adaptability. Learn how to use the new stuff and make it work for you. Build your resilient model. Develop flexible and adaptable situations. Respond efficiently to evolving market dynamics. The market is always evolving. Look at what the pandemic did to the cleaning industry. Although it put the frontline workers highly under pressure to get things done, it changed the cleaning industry in a considerable way. And we're all reaping the rewards from that change in the cleaning industry, but it took a pandemic to get us there. Refine those processes. Once you find a process that works for you, refine it. Decide that this is going to be good and I'm going to make it even better. And ensure that you have financial discipline. One of the things that I talk about financial discipline is I've often known people that will buy a piece of equipment simply because they liked it and they saw what it could do. And then when they got it home, they found out they didn't have the environment to use it in. So it now sits in the garage gathering dust. So understand that you need to ensure financial discipline. You want to buy equipment, tools, and materials. Everything that you use needs to push you towards profitability, not drag you back to debt. And finally, we want to foster strong partnerships and culture. We want to build strategic partnerships. You don't want to just run into guys and say, yeah, I want to be a partner with you. You want to find those other businesses that can bring something to the table that you don't have, and you want to collaborate with them and become very, very good friends, because you never know. Reciprocation comes in many different ways. You could give somebody some business and they could give you business back. Develop your team. Your team is your baseline. Your team is what you depend on. Nobody can do it all. I say that a lot. Nobody can do it all. You need to develop your team so that the team has the same core values and the same goals and objectives, and everybody wants to participate, which makes everybody even more efficient and effective in the field. We want to deepen our core competencies. Core values are the basis of everything. If your company has good, strong core values, you want everybody else to do that. And explore your agencies. Leverage your existing capabilities to either related markets or offer complementary products and services. So by expanding your horizons into other markets, you could start off in a small market and find yourself working your way into a very explicit market with high value returns. So the winning formula for this presentation today is continuous quality improvement. If you monitor and manage your quality assurance and quality control, you will come up with continuous quality improvement. That's forward progression. That's what you want. If you have forward progression, you combine that with your return on investment. Forward progression equals return on investment because it's more profitable. And if you combine those two things together, you will come up with sustainable cleaning strategy, which is continual growth and what this presentation was all about. So I thank you for your time and I appreciate it, but if you got any questions, I'm here to answer them for you.
Anybody got questions? We have entered that Q&A period. So if you have one, please offer it up now and hopefully we can get into it. It looks like we might have one here. One moment. I'm here. I'm sorry. I'm trying to navigate. Well, one question I do have is, Stan, you said technology is always there and always improving. Considering this, when's a good time for the end user to splurge and make their investment in new technology?
Well, there is no perfect time. Oftentimes, technology is a roll of the dice. You think it will work for you, but when I guess the best way to answer that question is when the outcome reduces to a point where it's really not generating income. When you're overwhelmed with a situation, say you wanted to get into doing big box stores, and all you have is a 175 20-inch rotary floor machine, and all you have is a wet vac to accomplish that. And then you have a bunch of guys that drag mops across the floor to finish up the job. You might want to consider this is a good time to invest in automatic scrubbing equipment because it would be much more faster and efficient than you can do it that way. If you're into the box stores, I go back to the propane equipment. You cannot, it's very difficult to do efficient and effective and profitable cleaning of big box stores without that environment. So when you look at going into expanding your horizons into new environments, maybe you want to get into construction clean, or maybe you want to get into big box stores, or maybe you want to take on a high rise and you've never done that before. That's the time you want to start thinking about, I can't do this in the traditional way. I have to find a better way. That's why I say that you always should stay in touch with technology, because it's always changing. And at some point, you're going to find yourself overwhelmed and underwater, and you're going to wonder what you need to do to get out of it. So when you're drowning, probably a good time to invest in new technology.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Stan. We had one question in there. Someone said that productivity should include soil removal as a metric. And they said among our research proposals involves establishing a cleaning performance index or soil removal over time. Do you think this metric could be valuable?
Absolutely. One of the things that we do is auditing. And there, I talk about all the technology. Part of the technology that we didn't cover so much in this is the auditing of your work, and that's where data metrics comes in. And you have to, in order to audit, you have to have a way of measuring soil reduction. How much soil did you get off of the surface? And how do you do that? There are several tools out there for auditing that can give you the data metrics that you need to measure how you're doing. Currently, a lot of the data metrics we use is in the inspection form, and a lot of that is subjective to what one person looks at and decides what it is. But when you get into auditing, you're actually using scientific tools to measure the end result. The benefit of that is that those scientific results can be transferred to the customer to show that even if they don't see it, it's happening. So I am a firm believer in science and technology. And just because you say it's clean doesn't mean it's clean. You have to measure that. And we do that through various agencies. And like I said, you can assess it, you can audit it, or you can inspect it. There are 3 different measures that we need to get into.
Great, thank you very much, Stan. And we had another question pop up. Someone asking for me to reintroduce how individuals could get a recording of today's call. Just a reminder, you can download a PDF copy of today's presentation slides by navigating to the related content module on your screen. And you can also find more info provided by our sponsor in the same related content module. And then as far as those credits, like if you watch the 45 minutes or more of the webcast, you can download that certificate at the completion of the webcast. And we will also have the webcast archived on cleanlink.com/webcast. We have about time for one more question, I would say. I guess we do have that one more question. What recent advancements in automated scrubbing machines do you think are more important and why, Stan?
I personally love the cobotics realm of it. They're getting better and better. The first ones, I was around when the first ones came out, and they weren't so great. But now the equipment is getting smaller, the sensors are getting better, and it's actually getting to a place where you can leave that piece of equipment alone, and it will do the work for you, and you can go focus on other things. There are, at this point in time, there are some restrictions, but I guarantee you at ISSA this year, they're going to have a lot more robotics and cobotics available for us to look at.
Awesome. I appreciate that response. I know everyone does. Stan, I want to give you an opportunity to share some final thoughts, if you have any.
I do, and thank you very much, and I'll try not to run us over. If you look at this image, when I see this image, it reminds me of my time in the submarine service. As a young man, I was only 18 years old, and the world was a very strange and unusual place for me. And the funny thing was, as I joined the submarine service and became a member of a bunch of other guys that had the same problems that I was experiencing. None of us knew anything about submarines. You don't know what you don't know. But we joined because we thought it was different and we thought it was special. And so one of the greatest and most cherished accomplishments in my life was qualifying as a submariner and earning my dolphins, which are the little metal things that you wear on your chest. Qualifying in the field of submarines is a journey of learning every system and aspect of the boat. And so in the event that something would happen, no matter where you were or when, you were prepared to handle any situation at any time. So the information was not learned from a book, but from experts in each of those fields that personally taught you what that system did and why it was important. And going from one person to the next was an arduous journey that resulted in my qualification, which meant that I earned my place among the crew. And that's an important thing. This image happens to be an image of the Los Angeles Flight 1 submarines, and it's a picture of the USS Houston broaching at full power when they were filming The Hunt for Red October. This is the scene that came from The Hunt of Red October. So I liked the image because the submarine is broaching the surface. And when we use the term broaching in life, it means you have broken through the surface, revealing your true potential to overcome obstacles. And the thing about that is that as I speak to you today, I'm reminded of the many individuals that have helped me along the way to become what I never thought I would be. And now, some 50 years later, I realize that without their help, I wouldn't be before you guys today, because some of those basic things taught me what I needed to know. The thing about life is that it's always a group effort. It's always a group effort. Those that know are meant to pass it on to those that don't. And we pass it on to the next generation. But the challenge is youth is always too eager to grab the baton, and age is all too reluctant to keep it. So it's an inevitable thing that we pass the baton on to the next generation. And when we do that, the next generation takes over. So as I speak to you today, I'm reminded of my responsibilities, and I am passing my baton on to you. The question becomes, what are you going to do with your baton? Thank you so much for letting me speak today. I appreciate it.
What a fantastic and poetic ending there. I appreciate that. Thanks, Stan, for the great presentation today. And thank you, everyone, for attending our event. One final reminder, this event was recorded again and will be archived on cleanlink.com. And then once again, I and our entire staff and Stan and everyone really appreciates everyone being here today. Thanks again. And this will conclude today's event.